Welcome back to Grit for Life Radio. I'm your host, Nate Parks, and this is Grit for Life. Grit stands for Getting Ready and Training for Life, and I hope that you have had the opportunity to check us out on Facebook, as well as listen to the other podcasts. And do us a favor. If you haven't checked us out on Facebook, look up Grit for Life and become a member of the Facebook group. We get a lot of different interaction there. We talk about different upcoming events, as well as we do periodically throughout the year, we do a 4-week online free mind, body, and soul workshop. We just actually finished one up. It was focused on This Is Your Time. And I was really excited. We have usually and normally we have a trend that goes with the 4-week program. And that is we get a whole bunch of people that start off at the beginning. And then slowly over the 4 weeks, they kind of start falling off. And that's normal. I think that's that way when anything motivational comes up. Because when you start to change your life, when you start to look at success in your life differently, it's going to require you to make some changes. And change isn't always easy. And in fact, most people don't like change. And so when the change becomes hard, a lot of times they do fall off. But I will say this was probably the greatest group we've had in 3 years of us doing this. We had the most participants that started off, went through the middle, and came out at the end doing the whole workshop. In fact, we had a couple of individuals who had started workshops before and had not finished it and were able to actually finish this one, and they saw some changes in their life. So check us out on Facebook, join up with the group. But at the same time, here on iHeartRadio, if you're listening to us on iHeartRadio or even Spreaker Studios, do me a favor, hit the follow button. Follow us. It gives you updates on when we post new podcasts. We try to do it on a regular basis. Sometimes we do it more often than not, but we're busy. Grit for Life has been moving forward in the last 3 years. We've done a lot of things, and this year is no different. We're taking a look at expanding different aspects. In fact, one of the things we're taking a look at doing is we're joining up with Phaseline Alpha. It is a clothing line group that is just getting started by a former military buddy of mine, so it's veteran-owned. And we're talking with them on possibly doing some Grit for Life swag, products, shirts, hats, different things. So we're working with Phaseline Alpha. But do me a favor, go to www, maybe that's too many W's, but 3 W's, .phaselinealpha.com, and check them out, see what they're doing over there, and follow them, bookmark it. And as soon as we get some of the Grit for Life products going, we're going to be featuring them on our Facebook group. Today, I want to talk to you about something that I think, it seems simple when I begin to talk about it. It's something that most likely you may start listening and go, yeah, that makes sense. But how often do we really do it? If you've listened to any of our podcasts before, you're aware that I'm also an author. I have written 2 novels, numerous articles, numerous blog posts. And recently I had an individual that asked me, hey, what would you advise a brand new author? And one of the things instantly, without even thinking about it, that came to my mind was just write you. Write you. Write the way you want to write. And that's really what I want to talk to you about today. Not about writing. What I want to talk to you about is be you, because you do the best. You do you best and better than anyone else. Just be you, because you do you the best and better than anyone. I was recently going through Instagram and I had to laugh because so much of social media tries to convince us that our life is bland and the life that everyone else is living is better. And we're missing out. I take a look through Instagram. I follow all kinds of different things. But one thing I notice over and over and over, especially with Instagram, but really with any social media, is that people pretend to be something they're not. And I don't understand why. I take that back. Part of it I understand is because they're not happy with who they are. And social media and apps like Instagram have created a new phenomenon that has allowed people to present this false persona in reality of who they really are. But the thing is, if we're not careful, we will find ourselves comparing our real life to someone's fake life. And instead of living our life, instead of being the best version of ourselves, instead of just doing us, we find ourselves wanting to try to compare ourselves and try to live something that we are not. Because, of course, nobody wants to feel like their life's bland. Nobody wants to already feel, if they're already feeling kind of upset about the way their life's going, they don't want to be reminded. And so instead, it's a lot easier to post a picture of us smiling, or posting a picture of us with a beautiful beach behind us, saying hashtag living life to its fullest. And in reality, what's really going on behind the scenes? As I think about our daily life, I would say the same thing that I would say to an author. Live you. Just live. In fact, going back to Instagram and getting ready for this podcast, I actually Googled Instagram life is fake. And if you do this, you're going to discover so many articles about those who, quote unquote, pretend at life. And they do it for likes. They do it for follows. But the sad thing is that many times, whether we understand it or not, we find ourselves feeling like we just aren't living. Because I don't have a big plane, or I don't have a perfect body. I'm not muscular or thin, or I don't have wavy hair. In fact, I really barely have any hair at all. And we get depressed. Even though we know that much of what is seen and posted on social media is not real, subconsciously we find ourselves wanting to believe it is. We want to believe that out there is that quote-unquote lucky pot of gold. And that if we just find it, all our worries will be gone. But what we see is the modern version of really a snake oil salesman. Back in the Old West, back in the old days, they would have people that would bottle this basically colored water, or maybe some mineral oil or something, and they would sell it. They'd go around selling it as this cure-all for everything from warts to depression, all in one bottle. We know that what we see many times is fake, but we want to believe by chance this time maybe it's not. What if we could have that perfect body, or that perfect job, or that top-rated car, that house, or that trip? What if? The reality of it is, though, that we're missing such a huge component to the real success of life. That is to love yourself. Love yourself where you're at, what you have right now. Be yourself. Live yourself. I speak to people all the time about the importance of mentorship, but social media and the lives of society is not good mentorship. You will not find good mentorship on an Instagram. You will not find, sometimes you will, but you have to be careful. Just basically your friend list. You may not find a good mentorship on Facebook or social media, period. There is that old adage that states, what is worth having, never easy. This is a nugget that we should not forget, and even post it somewhere that we can remind ourselves daily. I want you to put that somewhere. I want you to write that down. What is worth having is never easy. Because something worth having, something tangible, something to hold on to, something literally worth having doesn't come by just posting an Instagram picture in front of a jet that isn't yours. And I will tell you, I read an article about that recently, about these people who are actually buying or renting out fast cars or some moment with a jet, and they take pictures going, look at me, hashtag living life, hashtag got my plane. You don't know if they do or not. One of the things I find curious is we'll look at stuff like that, but then we have the media telling us how Russia supposedly had all these fake bots going out there and creating these Twitter and Instagram and Facebook posts. What makes you think that that's not happening in everyday life? I don't know how many times a day on my Instagram. I have one for Grit for Life. I have one for my novels that I write. And I constantly am getting these friends who are following me, these people who are following me. And I go to their Instagram posts and I'm like, I laugh. because I look at them, they're living, they never have a cloudy day. All their posts are them doing yoga poses out on some sandy beach, or they're with these model guys or girls, and oh my God, they're at a party, and hashtag excited, hashtag you live once. And it's like, whatever. This is fake. This isn't really you. What is worth having is never easy. You can have success. I'm not here to tell you that. If that wasn't the case, then there'd be no reason for me to even do these podcasts. You also can have happiness. You can have your dreams. The truth to it all, though, is that it starts not with mimicking a fake social media setup, but instead 3 different L's. Write this down too. Put this up somewhere. Learning, loving, and living. Learning yourself, loving yourself, and living yourself. Why? You're unique. There are some keys to some keys to doing this. And just like I say on most of my podcasts, I am not the begin-all, end-all of success. I'm not the end-all, begin-all of mentorship nor motivation. So that these keys that I'm going to give you are just a beginning. They're just kind of like priming the pump. The first key I want to talk about is embrace yourself and your uniqueness. There's only one you. You are not created to be somebody else. No, you were placed on this earth to be you. And the world needs you to be you. We don't need another Miley Cyrus or Brad Pitt or Ariana Grande. We already have those. And some of those we'd probably be better off if we didn't have. But we do. We have these superstars. We don't need another one. What the world needs is you. You see, within you very well could be the solution to so many issues the world faces today. But if you're trying to be someone else, then you're not being you. You're not able to find the very thing you were put on this earth for. And in fact, very well could be wasting time and wasting life. And definitely wasting energy. If you're not being you, then you cannot discover your full potential. Stop trying to be somebody else. I find it ironic when my teen kids, they try to say, I'm independent, I'm my own self. But then I watch their style as they mimic somebody else that either they watch or they listen to or they saw on Instagram. And I'm going, you're not really being you. You're being somebody else. Just be you. So embrace yourself and your uniqueness. Number 2, be present with yourself. This is one of the hardest things that my wife and I have had to learn, is to just be present. We can become so wrapped up and stressed over things that may not happen or even are happening, but that we can't control. Again, to quote an old adage, stop and smell the roses. This is the very essence of being present with yourself. Okay, sure. The day's raining. It's miserable. So we could complain about the rain, gripe about how wet and nasty things are. Or we can stop and remind ourselves that today is our day, whether it's raining or not. We were created for this moment right now. We can actually tell someone that we danced in the rain, even if you are only telling yourself. So next time it rains, don't complain about it. Go out and dance in it. Feel this rain on your skin. Laugh out loud. Enjoy it. Live in the moment. Living present with yourself is not easy. I know this. I've had to learn it, and I'm not the master at it by no means. It is something that we have to train ourselves to do. Remind ourselves that this is the moment we have. What is the past? Is the past. The future? It hasn't even happened, nor is it promised to us. I overheard a conversation today where an individual was supposed to go to a resort here in Colorado in the mountains. The day this person was supposed to go, they got sick. Now, listening to their conversation, I could hear the disappointment in their voice. And maybe they even complained about their luck. The thing about it is, the day that they were supposed to go, that very road they were going to be traveling on was hit with an avalanche. Now, I don't know, nor does anybody else know, if that person would have been caught in it. But what we can learn from it is the skill of being present. We can learn so much about who we are as a person and the small things that don't need to be worried about. By taking an understanding that everything happens for a reason. And if I'm worried about what could have happened, or what maybe will happen, or even what did happen in the past, we miss out on this moment. If you can learn to be present, life begins to become understood and fulfilled. Be you and be with you. Because there's one person you can't get away from, and that is you. The last point I want to bring, and again, this isn't an end all to everything. This is just a small 3 points that I wanted to bring and drive home. The third point and the last point I want to share with you today on this podcast is when you are you, then you are authentic. When you are authentic, life becomes simple. When you are you, then you are authentic. When you are authentic, life becomes simple. So you see, when we attempt to live a life that was never meant to be ours, we then really do create more stress to maintain that life. I know individuals, I have people who are in my life that live in these grandiose houses. They have 2 big cars in their driveway. But they're, and by all accounts, visually, it looks like they got life together. It looks like they're successful. But I know these people personally, and I know that they're drowning in debt. They're not happy. Their house is in turmoil. There's constant fighting. There's constant stress. Why? Because in order to maintain the facade that is not really them, but they have bought into that it's them, then it causes undue stress. When we attempt to live a life that was never meant to be ours, we then create more stress to maintain that life that wasn't ours. Living our life, the life we were meant to be, the life who we are, the authentic life, it becomes simple. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's simple. Why, you ask? Because you don't have to be someone or something you're not. You also don't have to keep maintaining that facade. No, you just get to breathe. You get to enjoy what makes you happy. When you're happy, you will begin to attract those who are also happy. And in doing so, you then find that you're able to shed stress that was not meant for you to carry. You see, if you're not living an authentic life and you're living a facade, then you're carrying stress that seems overwhelming and too heavy to carry. And there's a reason for it. The reason is it was never meant for you to carry. You took it on when you chose not to live your life, but instead live a facade. Like I said, these are just 3 steps of so many that can help you just be you, as well as show you the vital importance of just living you. You have to learn to love you. You are unique. You are special. You, listener, are powerful. You are all these things, but you can't be these things if you're trying to be somebody else.